So a leader comes to me and says that things are not going well. And I ask, how come? How are your goals looking? And the reply was that they were pretty much on track and they usually hit most of their goals. So that's not the issue. I'm like, okay, so what is the issue? And this leader genuinely told me that he feels like the team could be doing so much better, even though it's hitting all the goals. Usually people are satisfied, no one has complaints. This leader feels bad about himself. And now, often I say that this is not a performance issue. It just might be a calibration issue. In this video, I want to quickly cover what I see often as the problem of relativity. We do not know how to gauge ourselves because, you cannot read the label where you're inside the jar. You cannot sometimes understand how good or how bad you're doing if your only metric is, dependent on the company itself. It's all within you. It's all intrinsic. It's very hard to assess whether you're doing well or not because you don't have any other data points. And this might cause you to be constantly not satisfied with what's going on, or to be overly complacent because you don't even realize that things are not good enough. We'll quickly go over through the two different scenarios and how you can address them. And by the way, if you're new here, hi, I'm Ben-Yosef. I'm a tech executive coach and consultant, and I help people just like you create teams worth leading, because that's too short to lead a mediocre team. And I think that this is a very critical aspect of those people that I work with that want to go past mediocre. Sometimes they get all in their head thinking about, maybe I am mediocre because I don't think we're doing good enough. I think we can be doing so much better. If we could only do this perfectly and that perfectly. And it's good to have those aspirations, but I don't want you to get all in your head. I want you to understand pretty much where you're standing. Let's see how you can get there. Einstein taught us that motion is only relevant when measured relative to something else. That means also in leadership, in organizational design, that we cannot just look at ourselves and realize how fast we're going. We have to have some anchoring points to measure by. And this is crucial for anyone wanting to assess whether they're doing well or not. Here are two quick examples that I see. One was the one we started with. This person, after I started talking with them some more, this leader who was worried, I saw that, all in all, in any other company, most people would just be satisfied because that person had a good team. They were hitting all the goals given. They were always improving, always fast, high quality. But the leader was eating himself up from within because he felt like, no, we should and we could be doing better. And again, I stress that it's perfectly fine to want to get better, to not be too complacent. However, because this person was a first timer, he could not realize that things were actually going pretty good. It's good to keep wanting to improve, but think about the mindset. If you want to improve, thinking, yeah, we're doing good, but I can do even better, that's one thing. But if you're thinking, oh God, we're so mediocre at best, we have to be doing better, things are, it's night and day. The amount of burnout you're going to get, the amount of stress, your ability to think about the right things to do, your ability to get some pleasure out of the progress you're getting. If you feel like the progress is genuine progress, you're going to be proud. However, if you look at the progress and all you're telling yourself is, oh, yeah, good on me, we should have been there a year ago, you're going to burn out, my friend. So it's crucial to have this extra external data point where possible to help us anchor what we're doing and realize that, yeah, even though I'm pushing hard because I want to get even better, things are not bad. Things are pretty good, because this, I think, can help you recharge, can help you make the right decisions. And to contrast this, I'm currently collecting a bunch of points for my CTO assessment. It's a tool, I'm going to be releasing it. If you want to get it for free, you can sign up to the newsletter. The link is in the video description and you'll get it once it's ready. Now, to do this, I'm talking to a bunch of CTOs, VPs of engineering all over the world to run the assessment by them and see how things are doing. And every once in a while, I come across someone that when we do the assessment, they seem to be extremely satisfied with everything. And then when I ask a few questions that help me anchor where they or where their organization is, I realize the huge gap. They think that everything's nice, everything's amazing, but usually it's because they don't have any way to contrast it with what's happening outside. For them, within their bubble, things look nice. Maybe they made progress recently, but they don't realize that, wow, with the amount of people you have, for example, I would expect your team to be moving much faster. I would be expecting you to get those sorts of results, to have that amount of releases, whatever metric you're trying to look at. This is something that's crucial here. And you can see that these people, when disconnected from the outside world, it can turn into those weird ecosystems that once a human goes into them, there gets some germs and everything dies, because then they realize, oh my God, we're doing so bad. And I don't think they need to be shocked, but I do think that if you're in that sort of bubble, you want to know it, right? You want to be able to assess how you're doing and see how you can progress. Both of these extremes are bad. What we want to have is enough knowledge of what's happening so we can be genuine with ourselves, we can understand where we're standing, so we're not surprised, we're not too hard with ourselves, we're not too lackadaisical, and we can know where we need to focus. How much urgency is there here? How much stress are we in? Do we need to move and focus solely on this? Can I do some other things and have this on the back burner or work on it as I'm doing it, but as a second priority, that sort of stuff? And if you don't have that clarity, if you don't know where you're standing, you're probably going to be making the wrong decisions. Again, the problem is most common when I'm working with people who are first-timers or are within the organization for a long while, not 2-3 years, but usually more, because after a while, we seem to disconnect from the outside world. Even if you do have a good track record, after 3-4 years, we tend to think that what's happening right now is the way things are. Things get blurry. We don't really remember how things operated before, and then it becomes much easier to disengage. Even more so if your company right now is give or take stable. If you don't have a lot of turnover, if you don't have a lot of new hires, it's very easy to have this core that's already stabilized, that's already gotten used to a certain way of doing things, to just assume that's how it's done, that's the rate, that's what we're doing, and that's good. And even a new person here and there are not enough to wake us up enough. This is something that you see less of when you're working with a company that's in constant growth, that has a bit more turnover, because people are replaced enough, or enough people are joining to become some sort of critical mass. And therefore things evolve, things change, and more people pointing at an issue have more chances of being listened to. So if you're one of these, you are more prone to have this lack of external perspective, have this lack of anchoring, lack of data points, and therefore you might be making a mistake. So what are the things that you can do in order to snap out of it, to get reconnected with what's happening outside of your bubble? Number one, this is the easiest one. The easiest way to get started is to speak with people within the company, but outside of engineering. Ensure that you have enough relationship and an open one with them so that you can say what you're thinking and see how things are seen externally, how you're viewed. Because if from the outside at least things seem like, okay, we're doing well, maybe you can be a bit less stressed, my friend, and be worried about other things. If, on the other hand, you're complacent, you feel like, oh yeah, we're doing sweet, but people from the outside are giving you the vibe of, I'm not so sure, then you know that you're missing something. Something doesn't match here between your point of view and what others are seeing. So this is the first step. At least ensure that you're talking to people outside your, inner bubble within the company. Talk to people outside of engineering. Number two is get some peers going on. I have a different video about getting support groups and support systems, and this actually connects in some way. If you have some external peers that you can talk to openly, maybe it's just finding a meetup you can go to, finding some people who are friends or ex-colleagues you can talk with, having a mastermind group. When you have these, it can really help you find a way, an outlet for discussing what's going on. Talk about wherever you're doing well, talk about wherever you're doing not so well, see what others are saying, hear what others are sharing, because that then helps you anchor yourself, or at least understand where you're standing, because you can see, oh, they're talking about things that I've never even dreamt of doing, and I thought we were doing well, so what's going on over here? This external perspective can really help you get better. It is important that if this is the route you're choosing, you try to find a group that's not too homogenous. I know that a lot of people, when I work with them and they're looking for these extra ways of getting help, they try to find people who are very similar to them. People are startups of the same size, etc. The problem is that then it's very easy to just essentially set up an echo chamber, a bunch of people who already think the same from the outset. Don't do that. Try to get a team that has more variety, more diversity, experiences, sizes, markets, etc., so that you can all work better. And also, if we're talking about a mastermind group, it's much easier for people to share when there's literally no way you all will be stepping on each other's toes when it comes to the companies, because they're so unrelated. So I recommend doing that. And number 3, of course, yes, I'm biased, but I do think that getting a good coach can really help you get some external perspective and work on whatever you learn much faster, because coaches and consultants, given their line of work, tend to see a lot of companies in a short amount of time. And given that, they can often very quickly pattern match and realize where you're standing and help you realize where you need to be going. All of these 3 ways can really help you anchor yourself, snap out of thinking things are going very bad, or snap out of it thinking that things are going too good. And doing that, you just might realize what your priorities really ought to be, and you'll know relative to the world, relative to the industry, how well you're doing, so you can start improving the way you ought to. The goal is not objectivity. There's no one objective score that we can give to each and every organization or leader. The point is having enough of external reference points so that you can understand where you're standing with enough clarity and enough certainty that you can rely on that and make decisions with that in mind. That's it. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments or in my email that's in the video description. I answer everyone, and I really love hearing from you. If you found this useful, please like and subscribe. It really helps. And I'll see you here in the next video. Ciao.